This is Orange Nation Overtime with Steve Infante and Paulie Sibilia.
Welcome into Orange Nation Overtime. I'm Steve Infante alongside Paulie Sibilia. It's a Wednesday on the show, and in case you're new to this show, of course you're new to this show. It's new to us as well. It's our first week of Orange Nation Overtime. Paulie and I do a 2-hour radio show every day on ESPN Radio and QSportsTalk.com from 12 to 2. And this Orange Nation Overtime allows us to expand on some of those thoughts, Paulie, and kind of recap what we had on the show and talk about topics that are going on today. And, you know, we look back on the ACC basketball schedule from last night. And, you know, we've talked in recent years about how the ACC has to up its profile in terms of trying to earn some big marquee non-conference wins early on in the season. It's been lacking in recent years. Last night they had two great chances. Wake Forest had Michigan on the ropes in Michigan. Florida State had Florida on the ropes. Both of those games got away. Michigan won in overtime by 1. Florida was able to pull it out down the stretch against the Seminoles, 78-76. But potentially a good sign here in the early going that the ACC is more competitive, and hopefully they can get some of these big wins.
Yeah, and I think what I said on our show kind of got a little misconstrued. That what I was saying is I kind of wanted the ACC to be a little down this year because it would make Syracuse's path to the tournament easier if you go out and win games. Like last year, when the ACC was down, it would have been easy to finish in the top 4. This year, it doesn't look like it's going to be that easy, and you hope that you're in the top 6 to 7, 8 maybe, if you're lucky, and you can get into the tournament. But Wake Forest being close and, you know, Florida State being close against Michigan and Florida isn't enough to, you know, it helps the net rankings a little bit with the strikes of schedule, but it's still a loss in the net rankings.
Yeah, and I think that it is important this year, and I understand what you're saying about, you know, you want, once Syracuse gets into ACC competition, you want them to be able to rack up a lot of wins. But I also think you do want the conference to be better this year, as you said, to try and open up maybe an extra couple of bids. The last 4 years, this conference has only gotten 4 or 5 bids in the NCAA tournament. If their profile is such this year that the conference is going to get 6 or 7, I think that helps a team like Syracuse because it gives them a little bit more wiggle room. I don't know if they're good enough to finish in that top 4. Are they good enough to finish in the top 7? Potentially. I think they got a better chance certainly at doing that. So I think if the ACC is better this year, and yes, they need to win some of these games in these multi-team events. They need to win some games in the ACC, SEC Challenge, some marquee games to show that, all right, the basketball being played in the ACC is just as good or, you know, if not better in some cases than the SEC or the Big Ten.
If Syracuse was rolling like it was in the early 2010s and this year was coming up and the ACC was stacked, I wouldn't care because you knew that you could compete. This year, I don't know enough about this team, you know, and it looks like these guys are going to have some tough games. Louisville looks really good. Duke put up 114 on Army last night. So it's going to be tough, and we don't know this talent level yet against good programs.
I think going into the year, everybody expected, and Duke was predicted as a national title contender. A lot of people are talking about Louisville as a national title contender. I had not seen them play until last night, and I watched pretty much all of that Kentucky game in my office while I was doing some other things. It was on in the office. I watched it pretty much start to finish. They are really good. They are athletic. They're talented. Everybody can score. They're long. They get after you defensively. You might not know it by the final score. I mean, they gave up 88 points to Kentucky, but that final score was really not indicative of how much of a blowout that was. Louisville dominated that game from start to finish. They're 3-0 now. I mean, they just, you know, they're really good. They had 9 guys who scored in that game, 3 in double figures. Louisville's going to be a problem. I think we knew Duke was going to be a problem. Carolina already has a win over Kansas this year. So I think the top of the conference is really, really good. They need that middle part of the conference to punch up and get some wins out of conference. And Syracuse obviously has a chance of doing just that coming up in Las Vegas.
They've missed 2 opportunities so far, so Syracuse got to carry the water for the conference. Notre Dame will be out there also. It won't be easy for them. So another thing that happened last night that kind of caught me off guard, it looks like Virginia can put up points, and their defense is really good. They held Hampton to 19 points and a half, only 53 overall. And if their defense is, you know, if they're still playing that pack line defense and getting 91 points, that's trouble for people.
Yeah, and again, it's early, and you got to take into account the competition, but you look at the point totals that Virginia's put up to this point, 87 against Rider. It was 87-53. 81 against NC Central, North Carolina Central, 81-62 in that game, and then 91-53 last night against Hampton. So again, keep in mind the competition, yes. But if this Virginia team can score to go along with that defense, I'm with you. They're going to be a problem, and they are one of those teams that's picked to finish in the top 5 in the ACC. A lot of other things going on the Syracuse campus right now with Syracuse University teams. The field hockey squad getting set to leave for Princeton, New Jersey. They play in the NCAA tournament on Friday. That'll be a 2:30 start against Liberty. And let's not forget about this men's soccer team playing awfully well right now. They've got SMU tomorrow night, 8 o'clock down in Cary, North Carolina in the ACC tournament semifinals. And with that in mind, we did have Tomas Hutt on the show today. He's the starting goalie for the SU men's soccer team. We're going to play a portion of that interview for you right now. And I opened him up by asking about that big win over NC State on Sunday night that probably punched SU's ticket to the NCAA tournament. A 3-0 win, yet NC State outshot the Orange by 8 in that game. Tomas Hutt was fantastic in net. I asked him if that's one of the crazier soccer games he's ever been a part of.
For me, definitely. It was definitely a crazy game for me. I had my career high, which I'm thankful to have, and kept a clean sheet. But no, I mean, we knew what they were going to bring. We played them 2 weeks ago. So it was the same exact thing other than a couple of their guys coming back. Made it a little bit tougher, but at the end of the day, we knew we had to get it done in order to get to the semis, in order to get that at-large bid. And the group's really been just blending super well this past few months. So we're super excited for it, and we think it's a good matchup for us tomorrow.
You know, we hear all the time talk about, athletes in a zone, whether it's, a basketball player who can't miss or a quarterback who is just on the money, that particular night. For you, can a goalie be in the zone? Because you seemed like you were in a zone on Sunday night.
Yeah, for sure. For me, first 20 minutes, I was definitely nervous, definitely anxious. I honestly rather make the first save super early out, and then I kind of find like my little flow state. But I think in the first half, 25 minutes in, I made my first save, and after that, it just kind of flips on. And for me, once I find that flow state, in the back of my mind, I'm like, nothing's going in. But thankfully, I have the boys in front of me. They helped me out on a few of them, some goal line clearances as well. So it was nice to have that. But clean sheet at the end of the day, and it's all that matters.
I feel like, if you get that first goal, it probably relaxes you as a goalie or relaxes the defense in front of you a little bit. But there was no relaxing against NC State. They kept coming at you, and were really peppering down the stretch of that game. I guess, can you speak to just how intense the last, 20 minutes of that contest were on Sunday night?
Yeah, definitely stressful. In soccer, they always say a 2-0 lead is the worst lead. I mean, if they scored one with 25 minutes left, they have all the momentum, and we're already on our heels, kind of trying to sit in the low block. But it was definitely stressful, but we've done it before. We've done it all season. We did it against UNC a couple weeks ago when we were man down after a red card, and then we still pulled out the 1-0 win. So we've been in that position before. We've been in a lot of different positions this year. We've gone through a lot of adversity, but with 2-0, I knew we were going to get the third, and thankfully Chim put it away, and it kind of sealed the deal. And it was really nice kind of watching all their fans clear out the stadium after that third goal.
That 2-0 goal, that was some goal. That was Carlos Zambrano, the perfect corner kick, bends it around and in. Second time he's done that this year. For those of us who don't play soccer, how hard is that to do, to execute a perfect corner kick like that?
Yeah, no, it takes a lot of precision. I know the ref gave Carlos a little bit of a hassle on where the ball was placed. He was saying that it wasn't on the line, like it's already in play. We're kind of making jokes about it, that the ref gave Carlos the assist by making him move the ball. But no, it's very difficult. It's very hard to get your hips around the ball in order to put it back to basically where you're standing, but just 30 yards in front of you. And thankfully, their goalie kind of just didn't do what he was supposed to, and it hit the post and went in for number 2.
Let's talk, I guess, big picture here, Tomas. And you look at this last month. I mentioned 3 wins over ranked opponents, plus a tie of NC State in that regular season finale, 1-1. What has changed for you guys? What is working now that, again, maybe some of those matches earlier in the year that went against you, the result now is falling in your favor?
Yeah, I think we're honestly just starting to just trust each other. I don't really think there's ever been a time where one guy's questioning another guy playing over him, or like there's no bad guy in the locker room. Everyone's got a good mindset, like whether they're playing or not, or whether they're just practice players and they haven't seen minutes, or if they're in the rotation. Everyone's got a great mindset. Everyone's always happy for the guy in front of them. And I can speak for it myself. I mean, I did it my first year here, and thankfully I have Kyle Jansen right behind me this year, and he's been great for the past 2 years behind me. Him and I are best friends. Like, we talk daily, even when we're not practicing together. So I think just the culture that we have right now carries a lot of weight, and it's something that other locker rooms just don't have, or it's falling apart towards the end of the season when things really start to heat up.
Let's look ahead to tomorrow's match. You've got SMU again, a team that you saw about a month ago, and you beat them. Obviously, a very good opponent who's coming off a big win themselves. What can you tell us about this particular SMU squad, and what's it going to take to come out with another win?
It's going to be a similar matchup to the one we had a few months ago. Obviously, they have some momentum. We have some momentum right now. So I think the adrenaline's definitely going to be kicking for both teams. But I think if we just stick to the game plan, to what we have to do tactically, kind of keep their wingers out of the game, not give them anything like we did last game, I think we'll be in a good spot. And hopefully, either Shaquille can put one in again, or Carlos off a corner, or even Chim on an 80-yard run. I'll take any one of them. But any three of those I'll take, and with a clean sheet, and I think we'll be in a good spot for the final.
That was SU goalie Tomas Hutt on the show today, and as we talked about with him, this team is playing awfully well right now. 3 wins over ranked opponents over the course of the last month, including a tie of NC State in the regular season finale. This team went from being nowhere near the NCAA tournament bubble to all of a sudden probably on the right side of the bubble, and I know how much you love
bubble talk no matter what sport.
You do.
Let's hope they get in.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting with bated breath on selection, whatever day they do soccer selection. Are they? Because it's Selection Monday in some sports and Selection Sunday in others, so I don't know what soccer is.
They're on the right side of it right now. I think I feel confident in saying that. I think going into the tournament, they might even be better than that right now. There was a national ranking that came out. It wasn't the official coaches ranking, but a well-respected soccer website came out, had Syracuse 20th in the country. So I think that there's a very good chance that this team is in the field. And now, they have a chance to kind of up their seeding from here. They take on an SMU team tomorrow night that they've already played. They've already beaten. That was one of the ranked opponents that they knocked off. So they're peaking at the right time, and I think they're on the right side of the bubble.
Yeah, that was great SU content, Stephen. You can get it here on WSYR Plus when we do the show. And tomorrow we'll have the head coach of the Orange basketball team, who hopefully won't be on the bubble this year. He'll be in, firmly in, as they say. And we will have him tomorrow.
That's right. We will have him on tomorrow. So tune into both the show and WSYR Plus. We'll have the complete interview with Adrian Autry tomorrow. We should point out, we don't just talk Syracuse athletics on this show. We also talk other sports. In this case, Syracuse Crunch, off to a fantastic start, 9-4 to open up the season. We also spoke with Lucas Favali today, the voice of the Syracuse Crunch. We're going to play a portion of that interview for you right now, and I opened him up asking about yesterday's win in Utica, coming off of back-to-back losses. The Crunch trailed 1-0 going into the second period, and then they scored 5 goals in the second period en route to a 6-2 win. I asked him what changed in that second period yesterday for the Crunch.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, the Crunch played a pretty good first period, all things considered, even though they were down 1-0 yesterday, and just weren't rewarded for their good efforts. They took a penalty midway through, and Utica finally, they didn't score on the power play, but they built some momentum. They scored a goal there. But the Crunch really, all in all, 20 minutes in, even though they were down 1-0, you felt pretty good about where their game was. And then all of a sudden, I don't know. They had a couple of power plays. They did get a late power play in the first period, which carried over into the second. They didn't score on that, but but you could feel the momentum building more because of that. The Crunch have had a very good power play all year, and they scored 3 power play goals last night, including a couple in the second period, and that really fueled the charge for the Crunch. They get 5 goals, like you said, in that period. It's only the 18th time ever the Crunch have scored 5 goals in a period. They get a hat trick from Dylan Duke in the game, his first career hat trick. It just was a night where the Crunch, while down, were playing well, and then finally started to get rewarded for their strong play in the second period. And they scored 5 goals on 8 shots. It wasn't like they threw everything at the net, but their chances were strong. They had a good bounce or two as well, and in the blink of an eye, it was 1-0 down to a 5-1 lead. It was a pretty solid 20 minutes for the Crunch last night.
What has allowed this team to start so quickly this year? Off to a 9-4 start, even with those 2 losses in Charlotte last week. What has, what's allowed for this?
I think, first and foremost, the Crunch have legitimately high-end players this year in the lineup and in the roster every night. That's not to take away from the guys who've been here over the last few years, but there is, this year in particular, out of the gates, the Crunch's top 2 lines, their top 6 forwards, are legit players. Jacob Peltier is a guy, he's a first-round pick several years ago with Calgary. He is basically a point-per-game player in the American Hockey League. He's tied for the Crunch's team lead. Dylan Duke, he had a great rookie year last year, 20 goals as a rookie. Got off to a slow goal-scoring start, but he's got 5 goals in the last week. He's up to a team-high 6 goals on the year. He's also at 14 points. Connor Geekie, who we saw at the end of last year, a legitimate scorer at this level. And he has settled in after starting the year in Tampa Bay. He's been a dynamic player for the group. Their top 2 scoring lines are really good. Their power plays clicking to start the year. So offensively, this is one of the best teams in the league right now. And goaltending-wise, Brandon Halverson, who we saw last year, was their team MVP. He's been pretty good to start the year. He's got a couple of shutouts. Ryan Fanti on the back end in net as well. They kind of split starts, and he's been terrific. We saw him in bits and spurts last year, but he has really taken off so far this year as well. And then defensively, they're a pretty solid group. Steven Santini, their captain, leads the charge. Declan Carlisle is as good as it gets at this level as well. So it's a really well-balanced team. It's got some physicality. Now, a couple of guys got called up to Tampa Bay today, and Scott Sabarin and Boris Kachuk are pretty vital pieces of this team. They did not play last night, though, and the Crunch didn't really miss a beat. So I think it's a well-rounded group. It's a pretty deep team. There's a lot of depth on this roster as well. And so you put that all together, and you got a team that's off to one of its best starts ever so far through the first 13 games of the year.
One player you did not mention during that answer was Wojtek Stachowiak.
Yeah.
What has allowed him to get off to such a fast start during his rookie season with the Crunch? What have you seen out of him that you like?
Yeah, he's been really good, and he's an older player. It's his first North American pro season. He's played some pro seasons in Germany, so it's a totally different game, of course, playing in Europe on a larger ice surface versus here. But he has got a terrific shot. He competes hard. He wins a lot of puck battles, and he's had. Last night he had the goal, which was the kind of opened the floodgates for the Crunch. A terrific shot from the right faceoff dot, just in the top right corner of the net. And he had a couple of goals last week similar to that as well. So he's a crafty player. He's been a big part of the Crunch's power play as well. Great find for the Lightning. You never know when a team at the NHL level signs a European free agent who maybe has never played in North America. You don't really know what to expect, what you're going to get out of that player, how they're going to transition to North America. But Wojtek Stachowiak's been terrific. He's been one of their better forwards all season long, and he's up to 5 goals on the year. He's at 9 points, and it's been a great find so far, and it's a guy who will certainly be a call-up option here this season for the Lightning as well.
Last year, the Crunch was statistically the best defensive team in the AHL, and then this year, you look at the standings right now and the stats, they lead the league in goals scored. Is that by design? Is that just because it's been a smaller sample size, or has there been any sort of philosophical change, I guess, with how they're approaching games?
Yeah, I don't think there's any philosophical change. Joel Bouchard still likes his team to play in a very structured system, that style. I think, quite frankly, I think there's just higher-end offensive talent on this team this year than we've seen over the last few seasons, and so that's fueled the offense. Defensively, it's a different group on the back end, and they had a really good group of defensemen last year. A couple of the guys are back, like I said, Steven Santini, Declan Carlisle, they lead the charge. Charles-Edouard Dastu, who started the year with the Crunch, another guy the Lightning signed from overseas. He was off to a great start in 4 games, got called up to Tampa Bay. We haven't seen him since. He was going to be one of their top defensemen as well. So it's a team right now that is, I'm not in flux by any stretch, but it's not quite as I don't know. It's not as high end, I guess, defensively as it was last year, where you had a Derek Pouliot who had a terrific season here last year. Max Crozier was here as part of the top 6 defense. He's up in the NHL. Toby Bisson was a terrific AHL defense when he's in Laval now. So it's a different mix on the back end this year. Not to say that it's not going to end up where it was. Plus, they got great goaltending last year too between Brandon Halverson and Matt Tompkins. So I think it's still a really good defensive team. They are maneuvering their way through some guys who've been a little banged up. Roman Schmidt did not play last night. He was hurt. Declan Carlisle left the game in the third period yesterday, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. But, despite all of that, still a pretty good defensive team, and they've just added a bit more offense to their game as well this year.
You mentioned a moment ago, Lucas, that you said there's more high-end talent on this team, especially offensive firepower, than maybe we've seen in years past. And that, I would imagine, kind of speaks to the parent club, right? And we've seen that these two teams, the Lightning and the Crunch, have been in lockstep. They both go to the playoffs every year. They both seem to be a contender every year. I guess, can you speak to that relationship? And maybe, we talk about philosophy. What is the philosophy within that Tampa Bay Lightning organization and how they treat, their minor league teams, especially the Syracuse Crunch?
Yeah, it's been such a vital piece. And it's funny you mention that, because right now, the Crunch and the Lightning sitting on 99 players who have gone through Syracuse to play for Tampa Bay, players who played for both organizations. And potentially, if Scott Sapperin plays tonight, he got called up there. The Lightning are dealing with a couple of injuries. Scott would potentially be the 100th player, which would be a pretty cool milestone for the organization. And now Scott is not necessarily one of those high-end skill players we're talking about here, but it's been crucial to the success of the Lightning over the years to have an AHL team that is having success on the ice, where they allow their players the time it needs to be ready to get to the NHL level. I mean, some teams, just from an outside perspective, it looks like some teams rush their prospects through. Part of it is the Lightning have been so good at the NHL level for the last decade, really, that they've had the benefit of having players mature longer at the AHL level, unless they are really ready for the NHL. They let them marinate here at this level, and then once they're called up, they are ready to go. And that has fueled the success for the Lightning. It has helped the Crunch succeed as well, because the Lightning put a high priority on not only getting their players here and giving them a chance to develop, but they want their players to develop in an atmosphere that is a winning atmosphere. So there is a significant investment in having this team be good on the ice. So they are in an environment where they're winning, and if you learn to win at this level, the idea is that you'll be prepared to win at the next level. And then, at the current day, Crunch Lightning situation, the Lightning have been so good and have had so many deep runs. They haven't had a ton of high draft picks. But over the last couple of years, Julien Brisebois has done a pretty good job of restocking the cupboard a bit, through trades, maybe later round draft picks, or maybe higher, maybe reach, but someone who might be a diamond in the rough type of thing. And the Crunch have been the beneficiary of that. And some guys coming out of college as well have kind of blossomed at this level. So that's all combined to make this a pretty good team here this year.
Crunch back home Friday night for Military Appreciation Night against Hershey. Puck drops at 7 o'clock, Paul.
That's right. Lucas Vivalli, just heard, will be on the call. 6:45 pregame, ESPN Radio 97.7. Steve, I learned a fascinating fact, and we've been sharing this everywhere with people.
I love it, and I'm glad that we're going to share it with our audience on WSYR Plus.
Yes, the original color of Oscar the Grouch, orange. He would have fit in perfectly here in Syracuse.
That's right.
They had to come up with a story to make the color change. They sent him to a swamp, and he got moldy and algae growth all over him.
And the original color was supposed to be
fuchsia.
And why is that, Paulie?
They did not use it because they didn't know if it would show up on color TVs in the infancy of color TV, Steve. It's fascinating.
It really is.
What you learn when you can't sleep at night and you're just scrolling through reels on Instagram.
I'm going to tell everyone I know that fact today because I think it's fascinating. My kids, everybody at Channel 9, everybody's going to know that Oscar the Grouch was originally orange.
He is still orange.
The whole first season, he was orange, and then he became green.
So the actual question is, Steve, what color is he?
Yeah.
You say orange. He is orange. He's just dirty.
Yeah. Well, I would say green, but I would be wrong. I did say green when you asked me. I was like, "What? He's green?" No, no, he's orange.
You know what else is orange?
There you go.
Red. is orange, and he will be on here with us tomorrow, Steve.
Great segue. Great segue.
I mean, I had to get us out of that. We were stuck in a trash can loop.
All right, we got to go. You're welcome, everyone, for sharing that fun fact with you. We hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching Orange Nation Overtime. For Paulie Sibilia, I'm Stephen Fati. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.